here. My name is Joey McQuillan, and today we're going to be talking about the key of B exercise called Trio to Ambassador March. For some reason it's in quotations, but let's start with the music piece first. So, let's begin with the key of B flat, since it's been a while since we discussed about the key of B flat. So, what sort of keys are specifically changed either from sharp or flat? So the first, there are two specific keys that are changed, and they're both changed to a flat, and it's going to be the B flat key, which is definitely obvious, which is going to be the first finger and then moving your finger over here, and then the next one is going to be the E flat key, which is the top three fingers on top, three fingers on top, 3 fingers on the bottom, and then press your pinky finger on this key right here to get your E flat key. So let's go into more of the music itself, and let's go for the time signature. So the time signature is different from what we've been playing the entire time, which is 4/4, which is 4 beats in a measure. But it says 2/4 right here. This means that there are going to be 2 beats in a measure this time. So every half note is going to be a whole measure, and we have to act accordingly like that. So if you can take your metronome out, and if it's on a phone or anything of the sort, take your metronome out and then change your 4/4 to change the top part of the 4/4 into a 2, so it can be a 2/4, so it sounds like this. And that signifies that each measure is going to be a half note long now. So let's start with the first measure. First measure is going to be, the first measure is going to be a half note start. So it's a half note B flat, so and then we hold it for only 2 beats instead of all 4, since it's a half note. And then the next one is going to be an A, B flat, A, B flat, but it's also tongue. You have to tongue the first and third note of the A, both A's, and then you gotta slur into the B flat for both of them. So it would sound like this. Do, do. You hear the two, like that. And since both of them are going to be 8th notes individually, both 8th notes will form a quarter note, so think of it as just 2 small quarter notes, so two. Next measure is just going to be an easy half note C. I'm on my right hand, there we go. Good old C, which is just a middle finger right here on the top part of the key. And then for 2 beats, go for the B flat again. Good old half note B flat. And then next measure is going to be quarter note C into quarter note B flat. The next measure is going to be a quarter note F into quarter note G. Pretty easy, pretty simple. And then the next one is going to be technically just a whole note of just tonguing the first half note A and then holding it towards the second half note A in the next measure. So that will just be pretty easy, since we've been just going through whole notes the entire time before this entire exercise. Next measure is going to be a excellent C, which is just going to be 2 beats as well. And then we're going to be back into the 8th notes that we did for the second measure, which is going to be, instead of B flat this time, it's going to start with B, C, B, C. And it's going to sound like the same thing with the second measure, which is da-ha. And then next measure is going to be a half note D, all 3 top keys, all 3 bottom keys, and then since it's a high D, we use the octave key right here. And do that. Next measure is going to be the C, half note C key, right there, middle finger. And then next note is going to be a quarter note D, and then a quarter note C. Pretty easy, since we just did a octave D, and then into a C pretty easily, so it can be easily transferred to the next measure. But now it's just a little bit faster and a quarter note. Next measure is going to be a G into an A, pretty easy, since it's all 3 keys at the top, and then just removing your ring finger from there. Next measure is going to be a whole 4 beats, well, the next 2 measures are just going to be 4 beats of just holding F, which is the top 3 keys, and your pointer finger on the top of the bottom key, the bottom 3 keys. And then the next measure is going to be a good B flat right here for 2 beats, and then the next measure is going to be the same thing as measures 2 and 10, which is just going to be 4/8 notes, which is ta ta, and it's the same exact note structure as measure 2, which is going to be ta ta. So a C, B flat, C, B flat. Then the next measure is going to be a half note C, and then after that is going to be a half note B flat. Next measure is going to be the same thing but in quarter notes now. So it's going to be a C, B flat. Next measure is going to be a octave key D, C. And then the next measure is going to be the same thing we did last time, which is going to be holding 4 beats of a G, which is just 2, like we've done before. Then the next measure is going to be a half note B flat, and then the next measure is going to be the exact same thing we did for 2 and last couple measures we did before, which is going to be ta ha, B flat, C, A, B flat, A, B flat, and then next is going to be this quarter note C into quarter note B flat, and then next measure is going to be half note octave key D, and then we go into, for the next measure, a quarter note D and a quarter note C. And then after that, we go into quarter note G into quarter note A, and then we finish it off with a half note, or it would be half 8th note A flat, or B flat. Ooh, and then we finish it off. That's it. Yeah. So let's get started on actually playing. So let's get your metronome out. Mine's on my phone. And let's, since this is definitely a lot of repetition in which we have the same exact note structure, in which it's the 4/8 notes, let's slowly start on the top part of the piece of music, and go pretty slowly. I think maybe go into an 85 if you can. And let's start. 1, 2, 1, 2. Do 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 accidentally got carried away and did the entire piece of music. So forget about doing the top half, but there you have it. That's how you play it. It's very simple. It's just an easy da ta ta da ta 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 ta. It's the exact same thing repeated over and over again. From, I think, until the last ta-ha, it goes into quarter note, ta, into quarter note, into half note, then back to quarter note, into a B flat, half and a eighth note. So it's definitely about a repetitious style, so if you figure out how to practice the and if you practice that and completely do that, the entire exercise will be pretty easy to finish and come by. I think that's about it. Thank you so much for watching this exercise. Next video is going to be about all of the, finishing up on everything and trying to give you guys the ability to finish it off with an excellent piece of music that I'm trying to figure out and give. So I'm thinking of maybe Take Me Out to the Ball Game, but it's pretty simple, and I'm trying to figure out what else to do, because Take Me Out to the Ball Game is pretty simple. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.